Reverend Victoria put quite a challenge ahead of me. I'm Rev Chris. Everything you want to know about mysticism in 20 minutes. No. No, this is more like debunking any myths we might still have that we don't all have access to mystical experiences. And some of the methods for getting there are what we just experienced with chanting, meditation. You brought us into connection with that, the oneness, right? Those are all methods of getting there. But that felt so good. So some of you know that, and maybe you don't, it doesn't matter, but during the last year, it's been a year, I spent a total of 4 months in Montreal at the Unity Center of Montreal. And I bring it up because their congregation, their Unity, they refer to themselves as modern mystics. And the first thing they do in their service is they have candles, and we light a divine light candle, which I love. It's great oneness, so this is no critique of our service at all. I'm just sharing another experience. They light a candle to each of the world's faith traditions. There's a lot of candles, including the indigenous traditions. And they have one central candle, kind of like the divine light candle here, in the middle, and that's to what's in common in all the mystical traditions across those faith traditions. And it's love, right? Or some word for love. And I bring that up because they've been exploring through my time there and other ministers and residents, they've been exploring this idea, what does this mean if we are modern mystics? And if you're really interested in the scholarship of it across different faith traditions, for the last 4 weeks, they're in their 3rd week today, and they got one more coming, Reverend James Gaither, he's written a couple of books, he's really a scholar. He's doing whole talks, they're recorded on YouTube, I can send you the link if you're interested. He goes in depth about what these different traditions, how they actually see mysticism, how they describe it, their ways and their methods, of achieving, or if it's not really achieving, but of experiencing that. So if you're interested, that's not what this talks about, though. This is practical, right? This is practical methods. We're here in Unity. And I want to start with a story. So there were 4 people at the beach. Let's say it's on the coast of North Carolina, looking at a beautiful sunset. And how many saw the sunset last night? It was very colorful. So the 4 people standing at the ocean, looking at the sunset. They're all wearing different kinds of sunglasses. The first one is gazing at the sunset and marveling at the spectacle of the event and seeing the colors and noticing the wind and the sound of the seagulls at the beach. And they're playing in the sand, they're moving around, and they're just sensory extravaganza and having a great time. The second person has a different pair of sunglasses. That person is enjoying it just as much as the first person, but their glasses also enable them to revel in the knowledge they have about the knowledge and wisdom about how the planets circulate and what's happening with the sun, how things are rotating, what's happening in the cosmos, making all that happen. They might be thinking about what's in the air that's making the colors. They have a lot of thinking going on. And they're enjoying the discovery and tuning into their wisdom and knowledge and their intuition and their reasoning power. That's part of their experience with that second pair of sunglasses. Enjoying it just as much as the first person and adding on. The third person standing next to them has a third pair of sunglasses, enjoying the physical sensations, enjoying thoughts about what's happening. And this person is also feeling and allowing the feeling of awe and wonder, which doesn't have really words. Awe and wonder you could use to describe it, but they're really experiencing their beingness with the sunset and everything around them. They've somehow created a sacred opening to open up within themselves their connection to all that is, the oneness, infinity, ultimate reality, unity consciousness, whatever term you want to use, God. So that's the third person. Yes, enjoys the physical. Yes, enjoys the thinking and the mind, and has this opening of allowing. And then there's a fourth person. This fourth person is on their iPhone, looking at the sunset from other people's posts. A different iPhone sunglasses, right?
That's my teenager.
Yeah, well, that's me too. That's me too. So let me just, so those glasses are just kind of, sunglasses are just paradigms, for how we are at any one moment, right? So for myself, and just some more examples, I love to walk in the woods around here. When I'm just going for a walk, like if I walk with my sister for exercise or somebody else, we just put on our sneakers, we just zip down we just go, and we look at the watch, how much time has it been, or how many miles, what's the little counter saying. We're just walking, walk, and we love it, and we're paying attention to the wind and what's around us, and we're in motion, but we're having that kind of a physical experience. Other times, I'm really analyzing what I'm looking at. I'm labeling it, like I said, oh, I know what that plant is. Oh, I know what that, and it's fun, right? Like a mini naturalist, right? Oh, that's a native plant. Oh, look at those invasive plants, paying attention to what's happening in the season, knowing what's happening with the leaves and what's happening with the soil and how things are trying to go into hibernation this time of year. Like the knowledge of those cycles are really useful. And that's a fun way to go for a walk. Like how many of you have gone like birding or on a plant hike, a nature walk? Yeah, I see a few hands here. So that's those second sunglasses. Then there's the third set, and I don't know how it happens, but that's what we're exploring today. The third one is where I intend to go for a walk, but I don't go hardly anywhere. I just go a couple of steps, and I notice like a little piece of moss or something, and I look at it really close, I pet it. I might notice, depending on the time of year, it might have little flowers, right? Or it might just have little seeds or something, or there might be other things on it. And then I talk to it, I pet it, and I'm grokking, what the word grok is? It's like a 70s word, like a Hawaii shamanism word. I'm grokking, I'm like becoming the moss, and I feel one with the moss, and I feel like it's my brother or sister. And I'm like, oh, well, let's look at this little world around it, and I look at what's in the soil and the ants and the bugs, and then my world gets bigger. And then maybe I look up, I'm like, oh, wow, look at the canopy, look at the leaves moving around and talking to each other, and then I'll have to lay down. I've gone nowhere, right? I have to lay down, and I observe and then become part of the conversation of the different trees with each other, and the sky and the breeze and the birds, and I just notice the whole conversation. And then I'm part of the conversation, and if I might not be saying it out loud, but in my mind I'm saying hello, saying, oh, thank you for your beauty, I'm just getting into it. Again, another grokking experience. And no, I don't do any of that plant medicine stuff or anything. There's nothing required to get me there. That's a fortunate thing, although I know people that do use plant medicine to kind of get in that state of mind and see brighter colors and things. That's fine. I have no judgment. There's so many ways to get there. But it doesn't really cost anything to practice meditation, to practice our breath, play music, to do chanting, to contemplate. A lot of what I'm doing when I'm outside is I'm contemplating. So those are examples of the third. And of course, I do the fourth. It's like, oh, I need some pictures on social media. I want to put a picture of this sunset. I want to take a picture of my walk. Then I'm not seeing it at all. I'm just paying attention to this thing. And how easily it sucks me in, too, right? So when you're outside, you might want to notice, what glasses am I wearing right now? What glasses do I choose to put on right now? What sunglasses? But when I'm looking at my phone, it's really a missed opportunity, because as Eckhart Tolle says, nature is a pathway to free ourselves from our mind's preoccupation with ourself, which is really what I'm doing on my cell phone, right? Helping us to transcend the trap of only paying attention to the limited self. Nature helps us connect to our essence, who we are at a deeper level, which goes far beyond the thinking mind. So those thinking sunglasses, they're not bad, they're good. That's part of our human experience. But there's more than that, right? There's the third pair of sunglasses. And then we try to avoid the fourth pair altogether. And isn't this what we're striving for, right? We just said it, right? We're striving to connect with our deeper self. We're trying to experience our own spiritual magnificence. Isn't that in our vision statement? So these are ways to get there. And sometimes when I hear people write about like some of the ancient mystics, like, even the modern mystics that are still here, Eckhart Tolle is one example. There's a bunch of them on YouTube, right? It seems like there's an exclusiveness to mystical experiences. And research has been showing, and I have a handout. Do you guys have the handout? If you don't, raise your hand and we'll get it to you. The signs of mysticism, sign of mystical experience. All right, thank you for getting those out. The research of people that have been using this type of instrument here, this is for research, and they use it for things like psilocybin, just to see, they think that those help people get mystical experiences, so they measure the intensity of the experience using these factors. But where did it come from? It came from other types of mystical experiences, going way back, from research, way back, is what is happening with mystics. What are they feeling? How are they sensing it? How do they try to describe it? How has it changed their life? And these are characteristics. It doesn't mean all of these are present. It just means that these sorts of things in various intensities are signs of a mystical experience. And the people who have done this kind of research report, for those that they've studied, that the majority of our population have actually had at least one mystical experience. So let's just do a raise of hands. How many of you, looking at the list here, like, oh, maybe that was a mystical experience? Just a show of hands at some time in your life. Is that cool or what? That's so cool. So how can we have these more often, right? How can we have them more often? Is kind of where I wanted to really focus. And one of the great benefits that we have of being at Unity Center of Peace is that we do have nature right out here. We have this beautiful sun bear medicine wheel that Gaines and other people at UCP have set up. That has a lot of words in there, so there's a nice little access for people who really like to access things through that second pair of sunglasses. But you can also just experience it with your first sensory perception, or you can put on your third pair of sunglasses. And then we have this beautiful Serenity Trail, which I have a great view of now, with the leaves off the trees, right? You can really see it. And there's not just statues over there, there's also little plaques. How many of you have experienced that Serenity Trail? Yeah, wonderful, great. Yeah, there's opportunities to breathe. They remind you to breathe instead of doing sit-ups, right? Hey, breathe, read this Rumi poem, gaze out over this area and contemplate something. I love that trail. It has beautiful prompts. And then there's the labyrinth. And the labyrinth, doesn't that feel good to walk it? Doesn't it just feel good? The sensoriness, especially if you take your shoes off, it's beautiful. A lot of good energy there too. So you could really make a whole practice just out of walking the labyrinth. So Mirabai Starr, who's the author of Wild Mercy and many books about, some of the ancient, I won't say ancient, but more classic mystics. She describes a mystic person like this. A mystic is someone who has an experience of union with the One. And the One may be God, it may be Mother Earth, it may be the cosmos. That experience is rare, but everyone has them, where you momentarily forget that you're a separate ego, a personality self, and you experience your interconnectedness with all that is. I thought that was a pretty clear description. Experience your interconnectedness with all that is. We are connected all the time. We're just not always aware of it. So how do we create sacred openings for ourselves to experience this more often, more deeply, longer, more meaningfully? So here are some of the ways of turning inward. And these are Mirabai's words. It's a kind of turning inward and allowing yourself to abide in a space that makes a welcoming place for the sacred. The sacred, meaning us right here. It's inside us, our connection with all that is. So here are some ways. Meditation, I talked about. That was a beautiful meditation, really consciously connecting. You could also meditate on a divine idea, of love. Meditate on love. And I'm not saying that it's cause and effect, but mysticism is a practice. And feeling that connection and that awareness with all that is a practice. It doesn't just, oh, I've been anointed and it happened. Wah! It might feel like that, but it's a practice. We could have it more often. So meditation, mantras, prayers, just observing your breath is that connection. Truth affirmations, and we did one already. I am that I am. I am that I am. Just contemplating that. Or God is all in all. That's another good one. God is all in all. You're contemplating these truth concepts that kind of get you past the words into a deeper, ineffable understanding of that connection with the one that we each have. Another one is contemplating the beauty in all things. Another divine idea like love is beauty. And this is my favorite, allowing awe and wonder. Allowing awe and wonder. And one reason we're lucky with these beautiful spaces here is that research is showing, if you look up the research on forest therapy, our bodies are designed to connect with the earth. There are microbes in the soil, for example, that go right into our bloodstream and boost our immune system. Automatically. No little pills required, right? Nothing special, just put your hands in the soil. Or walking barefoot and really feeling, earthing is a thing, right? Feeling the energy of the magnetism of the earth. And the other one is trees give off compounds, terpenes, and there's another kind, I'm missing the word, phenols and terpenes. They just give them off in the air. And you know what happens when we breathe those in? They just go right into our system, and they calm our nervous system down. Automatically. This is what forest therapy is about. There's all kinds of cool research. And I always wonder, well, if that's so cool, first of all, why is it so cool? Well, we co-evolved with the outdoors, right? We grew up with the outdoors, not inside our comfortable houses. Nothing wrong with a comfortable house. But that's why. We're from the earth. That's why. So why not avail ourselves? Why not remove some barriers? Why not make it easier for ourselves to connect with our oneness awareness by using nature as our partner and taking advantage of that kind of a veil that disappears, like when you're bigger than yourself automatically, it's like you get a boost. Nature is a booster to our own mystic experiences and can become part of our practice. So let's take just a minute, and I wanted to raise your awareness that we have outdoor sacred spaces next year in 2024. We're going to have at least 17 events, full moon fires, Buddha Day, Labyrinth Day, a couple of new moon fires probably. There's going to be a lot going on. We've got a whole crop of leaders and a whole crop of new people that are going to do offerings next year. So you'll have a lot of opportunities to practice putting on that third pair of sunglasses outside where you get that booster. So here's just a little thing I'm going to share a practice that you could try just looking out the window. Just take a deep breath and don't stare too hard, but just gaze out one of these beautiful windows, whatever one's easy for you. Just bring your attention to your heart. Keep your eyes open. You're just having a soft gaze, maybe at one of these trees out here or at the blue sky. And see if you can become aware that while you're observing nature, a being out there, that being is watching you. Just nod your head if you sort of felt a little shift there. Just a little bit like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that might be something you might want to do more of with your third sunglasses on. So when you go outside, when we have our our social time, I invite you to just take a little time to stand in the sun on the deck and just pause for a minute and try on your first sunglasses, sensory awareness. Your second, sunglasses of thoughts like, oh, I know what time it is. I know why the sun's so strong. Doesn't that feel good? The last of the sun before winter sets in. And then your third, I'll just call those the awe and wonder glasses. And see if you can practice creating more mystical experiences for yourself. And I hope that this handout kind of helps you recognize, like, you know what? I'm having those when I'm washing the dishes. You know, oh my God, I just had one yesterday. It doesn't have to be outside in nature. It could just be spontaneous. You know, and I look forward to your sharing those with me. So thank you very much for your attention and listening.